Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Here is Greg. This opening is a little bit cringe, but here we are going to continue our reading again. So this time is from BBC. Formula E, the world's fastest electric vehicles could spark widespread innovation. The common electric vehicle doesn't need to hit lightning speeds, but Formula E race cars could usher in a new era for all. When Formula E Season 10 kicked off at Mexico City's Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez in January, the roar of 40,000 spectators easily drowned out the mosquito whine of the 24 all-electric race cars zipping off the starting grid, hurtling along the speeds of upwards of 30 km per hour. For 300 kilometers per hour. Some of the best drivers in the world jockeyed for position along the circuit. Dreamed up in 2011 on the back of a napkin at a Paris restaurant, Formula E is now a decade old. It has 11 teams, with 22 drivers total, operating single-seater race cars similar in appearance to the famed open cockpit vehicles for Formula One. The standard of driving is very high, says Graham Evans, Director of Auto Supply Chain and Technology for S&P Global Mobility and Automotive Intelligence firm. These are very good guys who are also very experienced professional drivers. Since its first season in 2014, Formula E has grown into a lucrative business. Lucrative business. Intelligence company Global Data estimates that the championship's total sponsorship for the 2023 to 2024 season at $102.5 million, with international viewership and attendance estimated at 344 million worldwide in 2023. The batteries in the current generation of Formula E cars deliver up to 350 kilowatts of power and can propel a driver to a maximum top speed of 320 kilometers per hour, approaching the top speed of traditional Formula One cars. And while the racing series may not have the pedigree or budget of Formula One, it does provide a unique and important testing ground for new battery technology that could benefit the entire EV industry. Sustained high performance. The competition among engineering firms to design batteries for Formula E is fierce. There's no N in this motherfucking word. The design batteries for Formula E is fierce, says Ashley Nuntz, an associate and researcher at Harvard University's Department of Economics, who studies the electric vehicle market. Only a handful of elite companies can build these batteries to the specifications required to compete in a world-renowned race. Renowned a world-renowned race. The companies who've won bids include WAE, Malawan, Podium Advanced Technologies at Ativa, the technology arm of luxury EV brand Lucid Motors. Most of these companies already have a pedigree of building high-performance tech, including batteries for the biggest internal combustion engine-powered racing series in the world, Formula One. While designing this technology may bring in more revenue for these companies in the short term, there's plenty of money to be made in engineering battery technology for Formula E. The technology is far more expensive than the batteries found in a typical road EV, and for good reason. A Tesla Model S going all out on a racetrack will start slowing down as the battery charge gets depleted, says Evans. That's because the battery isn't capable of handling sustained race performance. By contrast, any petrol or diesel-powered car can stay at top speed even on a quarter of a tank. A Formula E battery needs to behave more like its ICE kin at all times. Kin at all times. It's got to deliver sustained high performance, says Evans. On top of offering enough power for incredible bursts of speed, a Formula E battery needs to remain as light as possible. Race regulations require it to weigh just 284 kilograms, roughly a third of the car's total weight including the driver, and be capable of ultra-fast charging during a race. And be capable of ultra-fast charging during a race. Doing a race. Plus, batteries get hot when overused, so they need an elaborate. And so they need an elaborate cooling system. All those requirements create tremendous engineering challenges for whichever company is tapped to build a Formula E battery. The margins. The margins are probably relatively small, but because there aren't many producers, you can charge a premium for them, says Evans. According to the Federation. According to the Federation Internationale de l'Automobile, the regulatory body for both Formula 1 and Formula E, the Gen 3 battery system's total cost for Formula E's 2022 and to 2023 season was £260,000. The people who are paying the price are multi-billion-dollar companies like Mercedes and Ferrari, says Nuns. They have deep pockets from the track to the motorway. Formula E battery suppliers thus don't just earn money from the batteries themselves, they proceed of developing new battery pack configurations, cooling system, and fast recharge techniques can all be patented can all be patented. If a Formula E supplier creates a revolutionary new technology for the track, says Evans, and licenses it to a mainstream EV automaker, building millions of units a year, the licensing fee alone could be well worth the investment. Resurrection. Resurrection plants, the drought-resistant zombie plants. Drought-resistant zombie plants that come back from the dead. To protect crops from rising droughts, scientists are looking into the genes of a small group of plants that can survive months of droughts that we green within hours. It was a child growing up in South Africa in the 1970s that Jill Fahon first noticed several plants around her apparently coming back from the dead. These plants, she later learned, can survive 6 months or more without water. Their leaves turn brown and brittle to touch, but given water, they will be green within hours. Within a day, they've returned to their former self and can continue to photosynthesis and can continue to photosynthesis. While such a Lazarus-like ability is common among mosses, ferns, and other non-flowering plants, these resurrection plants belong to the angiosperms of flowering crop. But out of the 352,000 known species of flowering plants, only 240 are resurrection plants. Scattered across this branch of the tree of life, they are often unrelated, each having independently evolved the ability to live without water, to live without water, primarily found growing on the rocky slopes or gravelly soils of South Africa, Australia, and South America. The tactics used for this zombie-like trick are surprisingly similar, almost as if an ancestral toolkit
Ancestral.
toolkit.
Toolkit.
Can be retrieved from deep inside their DNA to deal with the problem of drought. Fahorn, now a professor of desiccation tolerance at the University of Cape Town, has been studying these unusual plants for over 3 decades. Along with several other researchers, she believes that drought-resistant powers found in their genes may be a key to adapting agriculture to a future of climate change. For plants to survive for months without water may seem like science fiction. The vast majority of plants do indeed die when they experience water loss of 10 to 30%, but restoration plants are able to tolerate over 95% water loss. But it's not just the ability to survive droughts that is important for this species, says Carlos Messina, amazed scientist at the University of Florida. It's also how resurrection plants grow following droughts. Maize plants might also survive after a drought, he says, but when they rehydrate, they don't go back to the same leaf agriculture they had before, and the flow of CO2 and water is all messed up. Droughts therefore compromises their growth long after the rains have returned. But resurrection plants seem to come back to the form that they had before the droughts, he says. If we can create maize that does that's fantastic because we can regain that productivity. Resurrection plants can have evolved this essential skill by replacing disappearing water with sugars such as sucrose, sugars such as sucrose, sugars such as sucrose, water with sugars such as sucrose, turning the inside of their cells into a viscous glass-like substance that slows down and chemical reactions known as vitrification, known as vitrification. The same tactic is used by desiccation-tolerant animals such as tardigrades. Also known as water bees, and eggs of Artemia shrimp, sea monkeys. As they turn glass, these plants also destruct their photosynthesis machinery, switching off their primary source of food as they turn to a state of dormancy to hold their assembly of proteins and cell membranes together. They secrete a suite of protective proteins known as chaperones. Since they guide the cell through dangerous times. How they preserve their tissue is quite a miracle, Verhoeven says. Damn, indeed. In a sense, the abilities of resurrection plants are not so different to the seeds of most flowering plants. When dried and stored in a dark and cold place, many seeds can survive for years, millennia, preserving the receipt, preserving the receipt to make new plants when warmth and water return. Hypmeta, the fascinating ability of resurrection plants to survive intact without water for months has obvious appeal in a world seeing rising desertification and increasingly erratic droughts. If these same traits could be used in crops, it could help maintain food production in areas which are drying up, but altering the genomes of organisms remains controversial. It remains in many areas of the world. It's also early days for this research, although genes from resurrection plants have been shown to improve drought tolerance in some food crops. But once the first green shot emerges, this desiccation tolerance is lost. Trait for faster growth, high yield, and more nutritious fruits or seeds is a trait that the Green Revolution, the 20th century agriculture boom, which introduced high-yielding varieties of crops grown in optimum conditions of water, soil, and sun exacerbated. Meanwhile, when droughts have always been an issue for farmers, rising global temperature due to ongoing greenhouse gases emission are making them far worse. Especially in the Mediterranean and Western North America, droughts, wildfire, and heat are estimated to have caused 16.6 billion in crop losses in the U.S. alone in 2023. According to some climate modules, by 2100, much of the agricultural land in sub-Saharan Africa and South America will be unsuitable for food production, a large proportion made barren by droughts. Agriculture will only be possible in Canada and Siberia, says Hank Hills, a retired sea scientist based in the Netherlands. It is these northerly region of the plants, not the tropics, that will have to feed the world. The situation is so severe, argues Fahan, that even the most radical shifts in agriculture now have to be considered. We are just not going to get enough food, she says, so we've got to become incredibly inventive. The most common crop plants such as wheat, maize, and soybean have already been made more resilient to water scarcity through selective breeding, choosing plants with greater root depth helps them find deeper reserves of water. For example, choosing those that flower faster helps produce seeds in a shorter growing season. But extreme weather events aren't just becoming more common, they are becoming more unpredictable. Chaos is the maker of climate change, says Timothy George, a soil scientist at the James Hilton Institute of Scotland. There is just much more variability. Periods without water occurring out of the blue, known as flash droughts, are becoming more common, as are droughts that occur during months of the year once guaranteed rain and mild conditions. This means that avoiding droughts may stop being possible. That's why Farron and other scientists are investigating whether they can find a way to recreate the remarkable desiccation.
Desiccation.
Tolerance of restoration plants in ordinary food crops to introduce such tolerance to rice, maize, and wheat was long thought to require the use of transgenic genetic modification, introducing DNA into their genome from distant relatives in the plant kingdom. The genes involved in desiccation tolerance would be isolated and inserted into drought-sensitive crops, a task that has been made simpler with the recent rise of CRISPR gene editing technologies. But Farron's recent study suggests that many of the genes used to survive desiccation are the same as those found in the seeds of most flowering plants to create drought-resistant crops, therefore might not require any new genes at all. By activating the same genetic toolkit found in their seeds, a mature plant might be made more resilient to drying out as this would as this would as this would involve activating genes that have simply been silenced upon genomination, rather than inserting foreign genes from other plants. It may not be as controversial as some other genetic modified crops. Julia Buitink, a seed biologist at the French National Institute for Agricultural Research in Paris, agreed it's a feasible approach even if the effects were limited to the young seedlings of the crop. Seedlings could be an easier target, she says, primarily because this stage of growth follows germination, and extending this desiccation tolerance will be the most logical first step. Plus, because most desiccation tolerance organisms are small, these seedlings would fit the mold already found in nature. Still, with these techniques are feasible in any laboratory in the world, there remain a huge gaps in our knowledge when it comes to how these plants survive desiccation, especially when it comes to how each adaptation is controlled. I think we know the main genes, says Buting. The problem is the higher level. How can we switch them on when there is drought? And for that we really don't know how much about it. The genetic switches that have been identified built-in acts are often not specific to one thing. Turn on desiccation tolerance, she says, and you will almost certainly change many other parts of the plant, and most importantly, may decrease its yield, which for crops is exactly what you don't want. But if a master switch, a gene-specific inducing desiccation tolerance, can be found, it could be turned on only when water scarcity becomes an issue, ensuring that the yield of these crops will be unaffected if conditions are conducive to growth, just as the resurrection plant only shrivels into a Crinkle of brown leaves during the long dry season. A crop plant might only button down the hedges when a flash drought comes out of the blue. Oh, so there is more. No. I think this is it. I've been waiting for 30 minutes. I think it's enough. It's definitely enough. More than enough. And tomorrow I'm gonna perform a UT, fucking English UT. This thing is fucking nasty. Like how is it possible to conduct a fucking 2 hours long UT? It is just a uniform test, and uniform test is just a test, and it costs you fucking 2 hours after school. That you're sitting there concentrating, even though you're fucking tired after a whole day, morning and afternoon of studying, concentrating, doing other shit. Even though you're tired, you're gonna focus in you know what I'm saying? And that's fucking hard. You're gonna listening for like 40 minutes, damn, and you'll be off it. And then you go to the other part of it. You're gonna do writings, fucking writings. Is that fucking retard or something? I don't want to write those emails anymore. Like seriously, I have no ideas. What should I write? What shouldn't I write? Like basically all the points. I miss half of it. I miss fucking half of it. And that's unacceptable. And I almost failed because of that. Very shitty thing. Maybe I'm the shitty thing. I just can't like do that shit. Like I'm not trained it, so I'm getting serious on English, on languages, on my academic shit. I just don't care back then. Now I still don't care, but I give a little bit more shit about it. So all the things, they are not hard. They are just fucking common sense. You would get it once you read it. So that's how the name Reddit come from. Okay. Now I know. Fucking bloody hell. Reddit. The heart of internet. Oh shit. No furries. No, I don't wanna see this shit. Like flirty thing, fluffy shit with a fucking dog head. That's a dickhead, man. And dragon head, man. What the fuck is that shit? And protesting. I think protesting is actually good. Like it based on the thing you want to defend, you wanna say something about. But LGBTQ protests, think about it. Think about it. Not all of it is bad. Admittedly, not all of it, but mostly the percentage is very high. I got some acne all around my body, and I got a lot of hair skin. Head skin. And what the fuck is that? Like splits of your head skin. What you usually call that? But they comes down. They flow down like snow, and it's like snowing whenever I scratch my fucking hair. It's fucking annoying, and it is itchy. Unbearable. Absolutely unbearable. Yeah, that's pretty much of today, and I want to eat something before I sleep. So, do your thing, peace out, and I'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye. Later, I mean, not exactly tomorrow, but goodbye.